Hey Matt, what's up?
Nothing much. Just here for another episode of Access Tech Corner. How about you?
Same, actually. Welcome to episode number 4. Anyway, me, Boris, and Matt, who has a dress shirt on today.
Still look good.
You got a date?
No, well, just really was excited for this episode, so
all right,
I'm looking for it.
Let's get right to it. So, in episode number 4 today, guys, we're going to be going over health and safety of smart home technology.
Yep. So we want to break down the hazards and the risks of it, how it applies to both the elderly and the young, and also the many benefits that actually come from it. So,
all right,
it's gonna be a good one.
So, what I want to get into is the potential risks there are with smart home tech. So the first one would be looking at electromagnetic radiation. The International Agency for Research and Cancer has labeled radio frequency from cell phones specifically as a possible human carcinogen. Of course, this is not an absolute. I'm not saying that this is the case. I'm just saying that this is something they're looking into and a statement that they made. Now, see, back in the day when we had maybe just a TV or one satellite, there was a lot less of this electromagnetic radiation around us and a lot less frequencies. And so it wasn't really being looked at. Now that we're integrating a lot more of this stuff into our lives, smart home tech is exploding. It's basically like we're becoming one with technology in a way, right? It's something that people are looking more into, and something you might want to look more into yourself as we progress, just to keep yourself updated and just in case there is something there. There's no conclusive evidence right now that suggests anything is wrong. But it's something that we wanted to just personally portray to you guys to say, here's a heads up. Don't overlook this fact, because it's our job in these episodes to give you the proper information and equip you so you can make conscious decisions on what smart tech you buy and what not, and if you want to or not.
Definitely. So enough of the scary stuff. I'm gonna dive into more of the health benefits that smart tech brings us.
Making you look like the bad guy, okay.
Good cop, bad cop, right? But definitely when it comes to long-term care, so working with the elderly, there's just so many health benefits that the smart home brings us. For one, you could set sensors up all throughout your house, allowing you or a more professional staff to be constantly monitoring your elderly. Instead of leaving them in a home, they could stay in the home that they grew up in, or they grew old in rather, and they're comfortable there, and they're still getting the monitoring and the protection that they need, so that if something bad happens, there's sensors all throughout the house, there's cameras, there's all that stuff that really protects them, and you can be aware of any sudden changes, anything to their health. So it really is a really great benefit in that aspect. Also pushing that forward, you can track daily activity with all these sensors and all these smart home products around the house. So for the elderly, that's great, because you can find out if there's disruption in sleep pattern, maybe something is coming up, that maybe something like dementia is coming up. You could track this a lot better. And also when something like this happens, you could automatically shoot out a emergency kind of call. If they need medical assistance, or they just need a caretaker to come by, it can be automated. It can happen a lot quicker, so that nothing really bad happens to them, which is fantastic. And this also even applies to younger people as well, right? With all these smart home products out there, you can track your sleep, you can track what you're eating. You could also improve your health as a younger person on your own without any monitoring, so that's fantastic. Pushing that forward, there's also like a nutritional benefit with health. If you have a smart fridge, you can use that to track recipes and track your health. Same thing goes along to having smart scales. If you had a smart scale that's connected to your phone, you can monitor your progress and how you want your health to be, how your diet's been going, how your workouts have been going. That's all fantastic. It even goes into sounds silly, but like smart home bottles that show what you've been drinking, if you've been drinking enough, if you're drinking something that's not water, what's in it. So that's definitely fantastic. And then definitely the last point I want to touch on, there's benefit for the smart home. Again, going back to long-term care, is just general accessibility. So if in your home, or in maybe your parents' home, you have shades up that are very hard to reach. As you know, when you get older, it can be harder to do that stuff. So say if there's a couch in the way, or they're just generally heavy, having motorized connected shades makes that a lot easier for them. It's a lot more accessible. Touch of the button, they can make changes. Same thing with lights, having those on sensors when they wake up at night. They can just walk over to the bathroom, having no problems, not fumbling, not hitting anything. The lights just turn on for them. All these things really add up to make the home more accessible for elderly people, which also is like just fantastic for health for sure.
Right. Now, Matt, I'm gonna ask you here, do you think that could go too far?
I think
Like people relying way too much on their technology to optimize their health?
I think that could definitely be a possibility, especially with younger people. You know, like if you are able-bodied, sure, like you can do anything you want. Anything that you're doing with this convenience stuff is straight convenience. But definitely when you hit a certain age, you do need that help. And it sure beats moving out into like a long-term home or anything like that, an elderly home. You get to stay in your own home. You're physical. You're not as physical as you used to be, and the smart home gives you the ability to, have access to your home still.
All right, now let's get into some recommendations on, what you can do to optimize your health with smart home tech or prevent health hazards. So for me, I'm gonna start with limiting exposure to Wi-Fi or turning it off if you don't need it. Maybe when you go to sleep and your phone is beside you, limiting that exposure could be a benefit. Small things like that, they might be inconvenient, but when it's not inconvenient, it's a good suggestion to do that, just to limit yourself, because obviously, as I mentioned in the beginning of the episode, we still don't know the effects of all this integration with our bodies. So if you just want to be forward thinking in that sense, I think it's a really good way to do it. Another one is if you want to go even further than that, what I would do is get a electromagnetic field monitor in your house. And what that will do is show you when there's like increased levels, show you how much exposure you're getting, and then as more and more scientific data comes out, you can see that if you're potentially at a risk or not.
Yep, those are fantastic points. Personally, I would recommend, I guess if you're a younger, more able-bodied person, you're just worrying about health, I would say, start small with what you want. If you want something like simple, like a Fitbit tracker, something to track your steps, something to track your weight, like something like a scale seems really cool. However, it is a little bit pricey, but if it's an amazing thing if you just automatically, you could track your weight. I think that's fantastic. Maybe moving a little bit slower into things like the fridges. I know they're quite expensive, but like you can get quite a bit done just with like a tracker so that you know what progress you've been making. If you're making some steps into your smart home to make it more accessible for a elderly person, maybe your parent or some grandparents, depending on how old they are, I would have maybe some different recommendations. If they're not too old, they're getting there, but they're still able-bodied, I would start with something like making steps for accessibility, so motorized shades, lights with sensors, making it so that they can live in the same home, but it's just more accessible. Things are still within reach, and everything's fine. I think as things progress, you might want to be looking more into monitoring. So setting up sensors and having monitoring at all times for when maybe there's more of an emergency, so having automated caretaking, all that kind of stuff, that's probably something you'd want to look into a little bit later.
You know what, Matt? I'm going to ask Matt another question this episode that he's not expecting.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is going to be the number one thing to track with smart home tech regarding your health?
Smart home tech.
What do you think is the most, okay, let me rephrase that. What do you think is the most important thing to track with smart home tech that you can do today?
Smart home tech that you could do today, I would say it's something like having wearable on you so that you could monitor like what progress you've been making as far as steps, as far as your heart rate, all that kind of stuff. I think that's like the biggest thing, and it's the most accessible thing for you to do. Especially when it comes to some of these more advanced smart home health products, they can be very pricey, so it's something you might want to do slower. But having something on you at all times, you could sense all that stuff a lot easier, and you could track it, and you could monitor it, and you could take care of that yourself, or send it off to somebody else. I think that's pretty big.
All right, I think that wraps up this episode. And make sure you guys subscribe below to our YouTube channel, and also click on our Facebook link below, where we produce micro content throughout the week for you guys before our next episode next Sunday. And we're going to be sharing some really cool stuff. So don't miss out on both of those things. All right? Have a great day.
Awesome.